Ever since he won the Wings Around the Globe race, Dusty Crofhopper has become a world-famous racer. He races ahead of all the other planes in a competition, and he's got himself millions of fans. Today, he and his friends are preparing for the upcoming Corn Fest at the Prop Wash Junction. Dusty goes out on a flight with his friend and mentor Skipper Riley, but when Dusty goes too high, he starts to falter and slow down. Dusty goes to get checked up by his friend Dottie, who tells him his gearbox is damaged, and it would be hard to fix or find a replacement since his type of gearbox has since been discontinued. This would mean Dusty may never race again. Dottie gives him a warning light and tells him not to go over 80. The vehicles and planes are at a tavern, where Dusty's old boss Lee Bottom goes in to offer him his old job back. Frustrated, Dusty flies out into the night, soaring through the sky to overcome his limits. Unfortunately, he lands hard and causes a fire. The town's fire truck mayday tries to put it out, but he's not working like he used to. The rest of the townsfolk try hard to get the fire out. The next morning, a government inspector truck named Riker comes to close off the airport, deeming it too unsafe because of the inadequate firefighter personnel. This would also ruin the plans for the Corn Fest. Dottie offers to get Mayday fixed up, but it still wouldn't be sufficient to keep things safe. Dusty, remorseful for what he's caused, offers to become a trained firefighter to get the airport reopened. Dusty flies over to Piston Peak National Park to join the fire and rescue crew. He meets a forklift named Maru, a big helicopter called Windlifter, a super scooper plane named Lil Dipper, who is a huge fan of Dusty, and 4 little fighter called the Smokejumpers: Dynamite, Pinecone, Avalanche, Blackout, and Drip. They are led by Blade Ranger. He instantly doesn't take too kindly to Dusty. A fire breaks out nearby, and the team gets ready to take it out. The Smokejumpers are carried by a plane and jump down to the action, while Blade and the other planes put it out from up above. Blade puts Dusty through training to get him certified. However, Dusty is unfocused and messes up frequently. It doesn't help that his gearbox is faltering constantly. He does gain hope when his friends from back home contact him to tell him that they may have found him a new gearbox and that they can fix him back up real soon. One night, the crew brings Dusty with them to watch a video of Blade in his earlier days as an actor on the cop show COPS with his partner, Nick Lubin Lopez. Dusty asks why Blade quit that life, and nobody seems to know why. At the nearby lodge, Dusty meets the superintendent, Cad Spinner. He is greedy and rude, but he is excited to see Dusty, despite mistaking him for his former rival Ripslinger. He wants to have Dusty at the lodge to have a celebrity bring guests over. Dusty and the crew go to the lodge to a party that Cad invited them to. Dusty, Dipper, Maru, Windlifter, and some of the Smokejumpers sit around a fire and bond with an RV couple. Dusty's friends call him again to tell him that the gearbox they got was the wrong one for Dusty, and that he now has no hope left to race again. He leaves the garage disappointed. During another fire dispatch, the crew flies into the forest to put it out, but Dusty empties his whole tank of water, and he must make a landing in the river to refill. He gets caught in the rapids and is swept through. Blade tries to grab him, just barely catching him as he goes over the falls. They crash into the forest, and Dusty confesses his gearbox situation to Blade. Blade tells him that even if life doesn't always go as planned, Dusty can't give up, because he can still save many lives. They take shelter in a nearby cave, and Blade gets damaged by the fire. While Blade is getting fixed, Maru brings Dusty into the garage to reveal to him what caused Blade to leave his acting career behind. Nick once attempted a stunt, but was accidentally killed, and Blade felt helpless in stopping it, and so he dedicated his life to being a firefighter and helping people. A massive fire breaks out, heading for the lodge. The guests at the lodge begin to evacuate, despite Cad trying to keep things under control. To make things worse, he diverted the water supply, leaving none for the firefighters. The crew heads into the zone to use whatever's left in their tanks, and then continue helping the people evacuate. Dusty then realizes the RV couple is trapped on a bridge where they shared their first kiss. He rushes to help them, loading his tank by flying up the waterfall. With Blade's help, they get the couple to safety as the bridge collapses, and Dusty helps put out the fire. His gearbox then gives out and he crashes after blacking out. Days later, Dusty awakens to find himself fixed up. Maru even managed to fix up his gearbox, allowing him to run good as new. Blade decides to fully certify him as an official firefighter. Meanwhile, Cad loses his job and has to transfer to Death Valley as a park ranger. The Prop Wash Junction is reopened, and the corn fest goes on. The entire town celebrates, with Dusty and the fire and rescue crew taking flight and unloading their water supply over the place.